each animator was doing about 4 seconds a week.
I think the final result is well worth the effort.
It's a huge team effort, isn't it?
We get to live in this world for a year and a half, and it was a beautiful place to live.
Underneath the skin is a skull, and into that.
How do the little puppets actually work? Are they remote controlled or?
No. It's this. You pose the puppet, find a nice pose, you photograph it, you move it a tiny, weeny little bit, you photograph it again, and then on and on and on. You play back 24 frames of this for 1 second of film, and it gives the illusion of life. It's a, painfully tedious process, but really rewarding. I think the final result is well worth the effort. And that's what Tim wants. He wants this really old school kind of craftsmanship, and he wants to see it on the screen. And it's just appropriate for the subject matter. He made the comparison of doing stop motion is this creation of life of inanimate objects, and it has a parallel to Victor's reanimation of Sparky, and so that's another reason why it felt very appropriate for this subject matter and the homage to the horror films, and it all kind of complements each other. The medium, the black and white, and the old horror movies, and this story of a boy and his dog, kind of a classic, old school film.
I think it's worth sort of pointing out that a project like this is a huge team effort, isn't it?
Oh, there's no doubt.
It may be a single person's vision, but I think we had about 60 people in our workshops in Manchester, but then there was another team of puppet makers down in London who not only created other characters but also looked after the puppets during the filming. 30 animators, big team of set builders and prop makers, and camera crew, and then all the kind of logistics and office staff. It's even though it's a very old form of filmmaking, it's a big show when it gets up and running, isn't it? In terms of manpower.
Absolutely, and it just takes forever, as you've noticed. So there's like 150 people working very closely for 18 months to do this kind of thing. And it's a pleasure working on films like this. You get to live in those environments. You work in these sets with all these tactile. It's very different from CG, where it's kind of an office building with a bunch of computers and monitors, or 2D, where everyone's at their desk doing their flipping and drawing. We get to live in this world for a year and a half. And it was a beautiful place to live. It was just an amazing thing. This is a wonderful little project.
Was it, each animator was doing about 4 seconds a week?
We were hoping that they would do 4 seconds a week. That's what we were shooting for. But you get into multiple character shots and things would whittle down, and it was incredibly time consuming. It's just the nature of the process, and so but well worth it in the end.
What were Victor's tears made of?
They were made with a little bit of Vaseline, and they were tiny little bits of like epoxy glue. So the actual drip of the tear would be an epoxy glue, and then we just slide it down with a bit of Vaseline.
In terms of production, how on timescales is it that you get the sound clips? Because obviously you've got to move the mouths in times of the word frame.
Tim has gotten the actors to do all the voice recording beforehand. So the animators are delivered these exposure sheets that have all the phonetic breakdowns of dialogue, so they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, in the case of Mr. Racekruski, he has these replacement mouths, and so we could do a pre-visualization of what he would look like as he's talking. For the mechanical mouths, which is these guys' specialty, it was left to the animator to actually do the phonetic shapes, but it's been broken down on an exposure sheet for them beforehand. I mean, Tim has worked with the actors, and all that has been nailed down, cut into storyboards, and we get the storyboard with the voice record and like temp background music to give us like an atmosphere.